Alright, so here's what we have. We are dealing with 1.4. 1.4 really is just an extension of what we've already been doing. The difference here is that we are dealing with everybody's favorite type of problem, and that's a story problem. Okay? Now, story problems aren't as intimidating if you know how to deal with them. So part of what we're learning here is we are learning how to deal with story problems. So to deal with story problems, you want to break things up into little, tiny, bite-sized chunks. You don't want to deal with the whole thing at a time. Okay? So if I read this, it says, Dr. Brown, or Doc Brown, collected P flux capacitors. How many dozen is that? Okay? Well, that as one big sentence doesn't really tell us a whole lot. So what we want to do is we're going to break this into little chunks. It says Doc Brown collected P flux capacitors. So he's got these flux capacitors. He collected a certain number of them. We don't know what that is. It's a variable. Okay? It varies. But how many dozen is that? So what does dozen mean? Aha. Dozen means 12. So what that means is he's collected P number of capacitors, and he wants to know how many dozen that is. So really what we're doing is we're dividing that number by 12, because that tells us the number of dozen, right? Because if he collected 12 of them, 12 divided by 12 is 1 dozen. If he collected 24 of them, 24 divided by 12 is 2 dozen. Okay? So this is what we are looking for. It says Bender's babysitting for P children. If he brings 12 puzzles, how many will each child get? Okay? So he's babysitting for P children. So that's an unknown. We don't know what that is. There's some number of them. Okay? But if he brings home 12 puzzles, how many is each going to get? So he's got 12 puzzles. That's what he's starting off with. And he's going to divide that by the number of children. Right? Because if there's only 2 kids, take 12 divided by 2, and you end up with 6 puzzles each. Right? If there's 4 kids, 12 divided by 4, that's 3 puzzles each. Okay? And down here, Lois swims 12 laps per day. After P days, how many laps will she have swum? So Lois swims 12 laps every day. So every day she goes 12 laps. So after 1 day she goes 12, after 2 days she goes 24, after 3 days she goes 36. So what are we doing? We're simply taking 12 and we are multiplying that by the number of days, P.